Paul had considered going to her hotel. He knew what room she was in. But the whole point of this mission was to catch her trying to steal a painting. Paul was sure now that was what she was going to try to do. The electromagnetic pulse that she'd set off days ago was only to get their attention. The card she'd left was simply a clue she'd planted to play her game. Paul had written about characters like this in his books. This woman wasn't just interested in stealing art. She could have done that a long time ago. This woman had a point to prove. From his window, Paul could actually see the location where his target had positioned herself. He wasn't surprised that he couldn't find her even with his telephoto lens, but he knew it was time to move. Paul didn't really expect to find her waiting for him when he arrived at the monument. He knew it was simply where she wanted him to be. The fact that she'd come here was only to draw him out. And here he was. He knew she was out there somewhere watching him, maybe with a pair of binoculars studying his face. There was no one else here, just the cold, barren landscape of the city, and this frozen river, and the wilderness in the distance. It was actually quite brilliant, really. She'd drawn Paul out and positioned him in a place where she could see him and he could watch her, but couldn't possibly reach her or get closer. And by the time he did arrive at her location, she was long gone. Contact had been made. The adversary and the opponent had visually acknowledged each other's presence, and she had left a token, an offering, like some sort of unuttered union between them, a code of honor between rivals. Except Paul knew at this moment he was out of his league here, and he was no match for her. They had bonded, and Paul Byrne had no choice now but to follow her to his end. In every classic story, Paul knew that eventually the protagonist must stand at the castle entrance of his adversary, and it astounded Paul at how often life imitates art, or vice versa.